Alright, a new box came out this past week, which means we have a bunch of cool new spicy decks to talk about. This is coming out a few days late. My mom's been sick and was in the hospital a couple days ago, so been busy with a few things there. But fortunately, we're getting back to putting out videos again. So jump straight into this one. Gimmick Puppet, one of the new decks out of the new box. This one actually got top 4 in the meta weekly. Did really well. Got a new consistency skill to go with it, which is really nice, as we've seen a lot of decks lately use that consistency skill to great success. This one's no different. The monster line is pretty standard, I think, besides maybe the gear changer. A lot of people running 1 copy, some people running 3 copies. So, but besides that, I think the sort of the 3 Terror Baby, the 3, 3, and 1 are kind of becoming standard for the most part in a lot of decks. What's different though here is the back row. We see some people running it, a lot of people running that advanced draw. You tribute a level 8 monster, and then you get to draw 2 cards. This deck choosing not to run it, instead running Book of Moon, Cosmics, and Pulse Mine, as well as a couple other one-ofs. Pulse Mines are interesting. It's a way to protect Zombie Stein. Like, if you go first, you don't have a lot of good plays besides summoning Zombie Stein, which is great with a lot of attack points, but it has a negate effect that forces you to go into defense mode, so it only has 1,000 defense, making it easy to attack over. So Pulse Mines is kind of the thing that you use to protect it. All your opponent's monsters get turned to defense mode, as long as you have a machine monster on the board with your Zombie Stein. So along with the Book of Moons and the Cosmics are the back row choice here instead of the advanced draw. Although he did actually side deck the advanced draws, so he did run in a side deck if you wanted to side into other really powerful side deck cards and draw into them quicker. But besides that, though, like I said, I think the monster line is becoming pretty standard. I do like Gimmick Puppets. I think they're a pretty cool deck. I think they might be a fringe rogue deck, and definitely King of Games worthy. Numerous people hitting Cog with it this past week, so it's a solid deck. Maybe not the best deck, not a meta-defining deck or meta-warping deck, but it's definitely a solid deck that can get you to King of Games level. So there is that. Alright, moving on, we have another kind of an old deck that got a new addition to it, Spacian Grand Mole. Spacian / Neostack. This one has a few little neat things going to it. So we have the Space Connector, 3 of, which can summon the 2 Dolphin, and Dolphin allows you to discard a card to take a card out of your opponent's hand. And then you can fusion summon into the fusion version of it and rip another card out of punch. You can basically take out half their hand before they even start playing with just those 2 summons. So, yeah, it could definitely be really devastating. On top of that, we have a lot of ways to, or a number of ways to fusion summon with this deck. You have the 2 Neos Fusion, which let you send your monsters from the deck to the graveyard. And then once they're there, you can activate the Miracle Contact, which is kind of like Miracle Fusion, banish them from your graveyard to be able to fusion summon again. So they have a lot of ways to bring out the Brave Neos, as well as the other Neospacian fusion monsters on the board. Of course, also running the Convert or Contact, which lets you draw 2 cards, and taking advantage of the new Grand Mole, which can let you keep bouncing your opponent's monsters back to their hand, which can be great against both like extra deck monsters, synchros, fusions, XYZs, and that stuff. But it can also be really good just for stalling, or stalling out your opponent, bouncing back their face down monsters, depending on what kind of deck you're playing. So Grand Mole has a lot of really good uses. I really like that card. A huge fan of that card back today. That card won me so many games. I have a Hobby League version of Grand Mole, and it won me so many games back in Duel Links back in like 2009, 2010. Absolutely love that card. So glad to see it come to Duel Links. But here we got another deck that's been here for a few months now. We've been seeing a version of that. I think that we've actually seen another version of Paleozoic from Monkey Warlock a few months back. But yeah, Paleozoic's having success here. Trap heavy deck. Of course, all the trap cards are a lot of them are focused on half of these ones are sending your other trap cards to the graveyard so that you can trigger all the Paleo's effect, bring them back to the board. And alongside the skill Territory of the Sharks, you can boost them all to level 4 and XYZ summon into the Abyss Dweller, the Shark monster. So pulling off sort of the same tricks that Water XYZ does. You even have the Deep Sea Divas, as well as the infantry in there to get the little pop off the Abyss Dweller. So yeah, kind of using the same tricks that Water XYZ does, but in a different way, taking advantage of the Paleozoics to do so. Also running a Wetlands in here. That also gives them like a 1,200 attack point boost. So all your Paleozoics you bring back from the graveyard, a lot of them are going to back 2,400 attack, those Canadias and that, all of them. So that can be kind of intimidating when your opponent, when you have like an army of trap monsters hitting the board at over 2,000 attack points. It can definitely do some damage. So just a pretty cool idea and a neat way to use the Territory of the Shark skill for something other than like the traditional sort of shark deck that we usually see players running. Alright, next up we have a Synchron deck. So the big thing that's different about this deck than the ones we've seen in the past is the addition of this spell card. It is Necroid Synchro. And basically, it's kind of like Miracle Fusion or the Miracle Contact card that we saw earlier. You banish targets from your graveyard to special summon a Synchro monster. In this case, we're bringing out the Stardust Chronicle Spark Dragon. So you banish a tuner, banish 2 non-tuners, and special summon that to the board. So it does have its effect negated, but it is an additional way to put a monster on the board, which this deck really needed, because besides that, this deck is kind of just same as it was before. You summon a Junk Synchron, go into your Stardust play, and then follow it up again with a exact same combo, going for like a Junk Destroyer, and that's basically, you just have like the 1-card combo every turn, besides maybe a Quick Draw Synchron, discarding the Phantom Beast O-Lion. So this deck is really really needing additional plays like that, and I think this does kind of help it in that sense, while still letting the deck have access to the consistency with the tunings and the Treacherous and the Forbidden Lance or MSC or whatever you want to run. So yeah, definitely like that this addition to the deck. Definitely think this deck needs a little bit of help because it hasn't been keeping up with the rest of the metagame. Nonetheless, so this one managed to get top 16 at the Meta Weekly, so pretty nice achievement there for Karma. So congratulations on that. Alright, next we have another new deck. Well, I guess it's not technically a new deck, but a newer archetype in the metagame out of the new box, and that's Vampires. We did get some support from them quite a few years ago, but it's been a while. But nowadays we have Vampires, and they have some really powerful spell and trap cards here. The Field Spell lets you destroy a card every time you send something from their deck to the graveyard, which a lot of Vampires have the effect of doing. You also have the Trap card, the 3 of, which lets you special summon a Vampire from the deck. Then you have another one that lets you gain life points, help prevent those decks from decaying you or killing you real quick. So a lot of versatility in your spell and trap cards. You can get to them pretty quickly as well. If you send the little Vampire Wolf to the graveyard, or the Vampire Bat, you get to search your deck. If you send the little Wolf, you get to search for a spell or trap card. It's called a Retainer, and then the other one's Familiar. Yeah, send the Wolf to the graveyard, you get to search your deck for a spell or trap. Send the little Bat, you get to search your deck for a monster, a Vampire monster, and you can send them really easily with Kazuki and Samurai Skull, so you can pretty consistently open up with whatever spell or trap cards you need, despite running 30 cards in this deck, because you have multiple ways to get to the Wolf. 3 Wolf, plus 3 Kazuki, plus 3 Samurai, 9 ways to get to the trap card or the field spell. So you definitely have a lot of a little bit of consistency there and being able to get to it without having a consistency skill like we see Gimmick Puppets and some other decks having. Fortunately, this also deck can take advantage of another skill though, Master of Fusion. So the Necroid, I forget the exact name of this thing. It's got a weird name. Read off. Dragon Necro Nether Soul Dragon. I've seen this card be used in the TCG before, but basically you can summon with any 2 fusion monsters, and that can be really pesky to get rid of because you basically just turn like your opponent's monster attack points down and summon tokens, and be really frustrating and annoying. But you can make it again with any 2 zombie monsters. So you just get Master of Fusion as your life points tick down by 1,000 points. Shuffle a card from your hand back in, get a polymerization fusion for that thing, and it can take any 2 fusion monsters, or excuse me, any 2 zombie monsters. So it's really easy to make. So yeah, definitely think this is a really cool concept. Using the Master Fusion combo with this deck and giving yourself an extra option to bring out powerful monsters, because I think some people I don't know, I feel like every time I play this deck, they're not like bringing out like tons of big powerhouse monsters. Like they have really good versatility, a lot of great spells and trap cards, but they don't like summon like a ton of like like big game, like they don't have like a big boss monster, I guess is what I'm trying to say. They don't have like too many big boss monsters drop on the board, so this kind of helps a little bit in that department. But yeah, Vampire is one of the new decks. Glad to see them having some success. Always good to see new decks getting into the metagame. This is I don't want to say old deck, but a deck's been around for a little bit now, but has kind of fallen out of the metagame ever since it got nerfed shortly after its release. But Witchcrafters are back, and they've actually been pretty popular the last couple weeks. I've seen quite a few Witchcrafters hitting King of Games, a few having success in tournaments. This one actually got second place in a 100-player point battle room. The monster line is still pretty standard. We've seen 2 different kinds of Witchcrafter decks. We've seen a Lightsworn variant, and then this one, which is just a pure variant without any Lightsworn cards, or the only mill in it is Volcanic Wall. But it's pretty standard, just the 2 Manamvir, the 3 of the Shmeta, and what you expect from the rest of the monster lineup, 3 MSTs, along with 2 Holiday. So nothing too special going on with the deck. It's just it's more just to be aware that Witchcrafters are back in the metagame. They're prevalent if you play in tournaments, if you play against at King of Games level or Legend level. You play at those higher levels that, Witchcrafters have been rearing their head up again lately. Good to be aware that they are in the metagame. Again, nothing too much new from them. But there are a couple different variants, so you will see the Lightsworn variant sometime as well. But yeah, Witchcrafters are back, and it's mostly just because Madame Vera just wins games against some decks, right? Like, it can be really easy to kill her with a Karma Cut, or with Lightning Vortex, or a few other things like that, but if you don't have those spells or traps that can remove her easily, a Book of Moon or something to flip her face down, some decks are just purely reliant on monster summoning, monster effects, and they don't run many spells or traps. And if they can't use their monster effects to get over her, if they can't attack over her because of her 2 abilities, she just single-handedly shuts down certain decks and just wins games by herself. So, yeah, so be wary if your deck is weak to Madame Vera that she is running around. Alright, and then here we got a Cyber Angel deck to talk about. This deck is coming off the ban list. I think it should go live here in the next few days, if I'm not mistaken. But we've seen some players in dual point battle rooms and tournaments playing with Cyber Angel. It's got I think this exact player, Herzaldez, I don't know how to pronounce that name. Not only does it has a spicy win streak, but he also got top 32, I believe, in a Meta Frequently tournament or one of the other DLM tournaments this week. Maybe it was a battle phase. But also got top 32 in a tournament. So Cyber Angel, not the best deck, not the most competitive deck, not taking over the meta game, but it's decent. You can definitely hit King of Games with this deck. You can definitely, make your way into the top 32 of a tournament with this deck. Again, might not be, the best, most game-breaking deck, but if you choose to forego the Book of Moons, this is a pretty budget deck, I think. Senju's not too hard to get your hands on, and I think most of the other cards are free to play, or I think most of the other cards here are free to play besides the extra deck monsters, which I don't know how necessary they are either. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna be giving this deck a chance here in the next couple days too. Once the ban list actually officially goes into effect, seeing how good Cyber Angels are, seeing how much they hold up against the metagame. Again, seems like they're doing okay. So I'm glad to see another cheap budget deck having success here in the metagame. Huge fan of it. Alright, and that's all the decks we have for this week. Again, sorry for being slow on loading up videos the past couple weeks. My mom's just been sick for the last month and a half now or so, but especially the last a few days in bed. So, but we're gonna try to get videos out as consistently as possible. I got a few ready to come out here. So, but thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate it. Drop a like, subscribe. Drop a like, or subscribe. I forget what platform I'm on. Yeah, like, subscribe. They definitely help out the channel. I do appreciate it, and thank you guys so much for watching. You guys have a wonderful rest of the day.